In that period, we saw state-sponsored paramilitary groups from Greece, Serbia, and Bulgaria, as well as indigenous armed groups from within Macedonia, all competing to try and establish a basis of national loyalty among this village population.
The Christians of Macedonia started to split along national lines as religious leaders vied to win the hearts and minds of the people.
Имаме огромен број случаи во кои што покажуваат како половина од селото.
There are documents which show that half of the villagers went to a Serbian church and half of the villagers went to a Bulgarian church. It resulted in a situation where two brothers would say that they are different nationalities. One of them would call himself Bulgarian, and the other brother would call himself Serbian.
And so, week in, week out, what people faced is stark choices when a band of this type came to your village. It could be a matter of life and death, what your answer to the question of, what are you really, was.
Jean Brun and Auguste Léon left the Balkans in May 1913, just 2 weeks before the argument over how to divide up Macedonia erupted into war. After a month of fierce fighting, the Bulgarian army was routed. The victors, Greece and Serbia, carved up most of Macedonia between them.
The peasants' life, their life changed totally. For some of them, they lost their homes. Hundreds, thousands of them lost their homes all over the region. So it was a dramatic moment of their personal and family histories.
Suddenly, some people found themselves on the wrong side of the newly drawn national boundaries. Amid rising religious and ethnic persecution, villages were attacked and burned. Thousands fled their homes. While working as a war reporter, Leon Trotsky witnessed the tragic impact that Macedonia's disintegration had on its people.
All the glories of culture are perishing. The work of fathers, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers is being reduced to dust. Cities are being laid waste. Villages are going up in flames, and no end can yet be seen to this frenzy of destruction.
Four months later, Albert Kahn dispatched another of his photographers, Stefan Passé, to document the disastrous consequences of the Balkan Wars. When Passé arrived in Macedonia in September 1913, he found a region that remained in the grip of crisis.
Stefan
Passé goes to places that are difficult to get to. He goes to the places that he knows are dangerous. He was informed by the French authorities of the risk that he took to go to such and such a place, but this didn't deter him. He wanted to go and see for himself and to take his photographs, and he wanted to bring them back for Jean Brun and Albert Kahn.
Travelling overland, Passé's intrepid journey took him through the war-torn countryside towards Salonika. Next to the railway tracks leading to the city, he witnessed the human cost of conflict.
It was the largest Muslim exodus. 500,000 Muslims left Macedonia to go to Turkey at that time. These people came to Salonika to board on ships to go to Turkey. They left their homes behind them forever.
There was a massive flight of people, refugees from the country villages where they'd lived for hundreds of years into the safety of Salonika and the surrounds, where these photographs have taken. Mostly it's Muslim villagers who now felt that their life was in jeopardy.
In a letter to Jean Brun, Passé described the plight of the refugees.
These unfortunates are without possessions, and at this time of year, when the earth is parched by the sun, they can no longer find food. Cholera is rife there. The Greek authorities do not seem to realize the gravity of the situation, and if serious measures aren't taken, there will be a terrible epidemic.
He knew very well that the place where he wanted to go was contaminated by cholera, but he was not afraid to go there. On the contrary, he had words of compassion for these downtrodden people who weren't receiving help from the government.
Passé's pictures record one of the great waves of Balkan migration that would recur across the region in the years to come.
The Balkan Wars were noteworthy for introducing the world to what it would later know as ethnic cleansing. One of the concerns of the photographers themselves in their photographs that we're looking at is to chart the consequences of ethnic cleansing. The consequences in terms of refugees who've been deliberately kicked out of their homes.
As the 20th century unfolded, attempts to build nation-states led to ethnic cleansing on an unprecedented scale. The Muslims and later the Jews of Salonika were some of the first people to pay the price. The pursuit of separate national identities propelled Europe towards war. It was a Bosnian Serb nationalist, Gavrilo Princip, who assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austro-Hungary, the event that shattered Europe's delicate balance of political forces and set the continent on course towards its bloodiest ever war.
For a pacifist like Albert Kahn, a promoter of understanding between cultures, it's evident that the First World War was a shock. For him, as for the rest of the world, but especially for a pacifist and an internationalist, it was without doubt desperate.
Albert Kahn wanted to use photography to record the diversity of human existence as a means of promoting international understanding and peace. In the years before the First World War, his photographers documented the timeless traditions of cultures across the continent. But Kahn's autochromes also bear witness to the emergence of nationalism, a potent force that would turn Europe's peace and stability into a cataclysm of ethnic cleansing and war.
The Peculiar Preoccupations of Mr. Pooter, next on BBC4, an Edwardian comic masterpiece.